Born on December 13, 1877, French scientist Dr. Edmond Locard is often recognized as one of the pioneers of modern forensic science. He is best known as the formulator of Locard's exchange principle, which is the idea that anytime a person comes into contact with an object or another person, a cross-transfer of physical evidence occurs. Or rather, in simpler terms, every contact leaves a trace. This is the idea behind the professional wrestling concept of the rub. Whereas Locard's principle concerns itself with the transfer of physical material, the rub in pro wrestling is intangible. The rub is all about transferring prestige and recognition from one wrestler to another. This is achieved in multiple ways, the most common of which is simply to lose to your opponent. Your opponent gets a rub by being seen as better than you in competition. Sometimes, mere proximity is all you need to get a rub. Think of how Randy Orton and Batista both gained instant notoriety early in their careers by being associated with Ric Flair and Triple H in Evolution. The rub is how you pass on what you've earned in professional wrestling. The rub is how you pay forward everything you've achieved in professional wrestling. The rub is what makes Philippine Wrestling Revolution's upcoming Homecoming event such a big deal. "2019 is a very important year for PWR. As the longest-standing active wrestling promotion in the Philippines, PWR have been the bastions of reviving professional wrestling locally. They have cultivated an incredibly loyal fan base while growing and training a roster of well-loved talents. Their growth has been steady over the years, but 2019 has really felt like a significant step up for them. Their #NeverMissAShow campaign has been tied in with appearances from international talents like OWE's T-Hawk and AEW women's star Riho. And one of the most exciting developments was Jake DeLeon, Ken Warren, and Crystal being invited to a WWE tryout in China, along with other top prospects from across Southeast Asia. It's an exciting time to be a PWR fan and a PWR wrestler. Now, PWR has the chance to showcase their abilities to the international wrestling community at Homecoming. They're bringing in some of the top independent talent from across the world to compete here. So let's talk about the two biggest names announced for the show and the matches that they're scheduled to compete in on October 12th. Let's start with Jeff Cobb. In the semi-main event of the evening, Jeff Cobb will be challenging for the PWR Championship in a three-way match against Panzer and Quatro. Cobb is a well-decorated former Olympian who might be one of the biggest names on the international indie scene today. He first came to prominence in pro wrestling as the masked monster Matanza Quatro, winning the top prize in Lucha Underground in their second season back in 2016. Soon after, he started making a name for himself in indie promotions like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and Ring of Honor, where he made big waves at the end of 2018, winning the annual Battle of Los Angeles tournament in September, then the ROH World Television Championship in December. His star only grew brighter in 2019 as he won the Never Openweight Championship from Will Ospreay in Madison Square Garden and even participated in the prestigious G1 Climax tournament. Although he only racked up a record of 4 wins and 5 losses in the G1, his list of opponents in the tournament read as a who's who of New Japan: Jay White, Tetsuya Naito, Jon Moxley, Tomohiro Ishii. He even boasts wins over former US heavyweight champion Juice Robinson and Shingo Takagi. While his G1 output was hit and miss, simply sharing the ring with all these great talents and being depicted as being on an even playing field as most of them gives Jeff Cobb the aura of being a big-time player in the wrestling landscape. That is the power of the rub. And that is the aura he's bringing to his PWR Championship match on October 12th. His two opponents represent two generations of PWR wrestlers. Panzer is a PWR original, having performed on the company's very first show. He's a two-time PWR champion and is now riding a wave of momentum off of a major heel turn at Revolution X back in May. He aligned himself with MSG, a stable of wrestlers managed by Mr. C. After winning a tournament to become #1 contender to the title, Panzer is now on the path to claim his third PWR Championship. The man with the gold is Quatro, whose rise to the title has been one of the most compelling babyface journeys in recent memory. From a masked pre-show jobber, Quatro has risen the ranks to become the top guy in PWR. He cemented his place as a main eventer by toppling Ralph Imabayashi in a 2 out of 3 falls match at Revolution X and ending the longest PWR Championship reign in history. While I would have preferred the one-on-one match between Quatro and Jeff Cobb, Chris Panzer definitely deserves this opportunity. At the same time, the 3-way stipulation creates some doubt as to the eventual result. Could we see Jeff Cobb suplex his way to become the PWR champion? Unlikely, but I certainly wouldn't complain about having Cobb return to the company to perform. More likely we'll see Quatro pin Panzer or even vice versa to keep the belt at home. But now let's talk about the main event. The road to Homecoming started in earnest at PWR Pak Ganern when the first major international talent for the show was announced. TJP is probably best known for winning the first WWE Cruiserweight Classic, feeding wrestlers like Johnny Gargano and Kota Ibushi during the tournament. As a result, he was awarded the revived WWE Cruiserweight Championship and became an integral part of the original 205 Live roster. But TJP's reputation goes back much further than his run in the WWE. In many circles, he's known as wrestling's youngest veteran, as he's been wrestling since he was 13 years old. He mostly came up in the SoCal area while also receiving training in the New Japan LA dojo. He was also one of the many wrestlers to portray the masked video game character come to life, Suicide, later renamed Manic in Impact Wrestling. As the Phil-Am Flash, TJP might just be the most internationally recognized professional wrestler of Filipino heritage. Behind that one, Batista guy, but who's? There's a reason that the crowd popped so big when TJP was announced as coming to PWR. He's proudly integrated his Filipino identity into his wrestling persona and displayed it on a global scale unlike any other wrestler before him. Now, he finally gets the chance to bring those years of hard work and dedication to the country he's been proud to represent for his whole career. But standing in his way is a man they call Mr. Philippine Wrestling. Jake DeLeon embodies the revival of professional wrestling in the country. A part of the first ever PWR show, its first ever champion, and an integral act in the main event for years, Jake might just be the first guy people think of when they hear the letters PWR. Even the colors of his gear, black and yellow, match up exactly to the colors of the PWR logo. JDL is considered by many, myself included, to be the best wrestler in the country today. I think that's a claim that's incredibly hard to dispute, especially when you see the consistent work he puts in month after month. There's a reason that he, along with Ken Warren and Crystal, was invited to a WWE tryout this year. The sky is the limit for JDL, and this match might just be the biggest of his career yet. For local wrestling fans, TJP versus JDL is a dream match, in the same vein as Joe versus Kobashi from 2005. I'm not saying TJP is on the level of Kenta Kobashi, but it has that same vibe of a local promotion's hero taking on a much more seasoned and recognized veteran that has done so much to influence the scene. Perhaps a more apt comparison would be something closer to A-Kid versus Zack Sabre Jr., where local Spanish hero A-Kid got to test his mettle against one of the best in the world. What this match has that those others lacked, however, is a sense of national identity. Both guys are best known for representing the Philippines, and to see them finally do battle in Manila is a momentous occasion for any wrestling fan here. It's that quality that would have been lost if JDL were to face other major indie names like Zack Sabre Jr. or Will Ospreay or David Starr. Sure, those guys might be on hotter runs currently, but TJP versus JDL just screams the peak of Philippine wrestling. This is a Philippine wrestling dream match, and it couldn't happen anywhere else but in Metro Manila. This is PWR's chance to get a rub from the big names flying in. Talent like Jeff Cobb and TJP bring with them a lot of eyes and a lot of attention from the international wrestling community. At Homecoming, PWR has the opportunity to present themselves as worthy of that international spotlight, and the talent get to showcase that they are just as good as, if not better, than the wrestlers flying in. Although I focused on the two major international names and their main event matches, that's not at all meant to devalue the rest of the card that PWR are presenting on October 12th. Other big names like Billy Swade returning from Canada and Desi Dorada from Impact Wrestling will also be featured on the card, alongside a whole host of PWR's best local talent like Ken Warren, Chino Ginto, and the rest of the roster. This is why PWR Homecoming 2019 is such a big deal. It's PWR staking a claim that they belong in the discussion along with some of the best independent promotions in the world. Regardless of how this attempt pans out, the intention in itself is historical, and I urge any Filipino wrestling fan to go out of their way to buy a ticket to support this moment in Philippine wrestling history. I'll leave a link to where you can purchase tickets down below. As for my viewers abroad, I hope you take this opportunity to dig into the local Philippine wrestling scene. PWR has a YouTube page that contains several free matches, and I've linked that below, along with some of my personal match recommendations. There's some good stuff in there. Look into it. Philippine wrestling has arrived, and it's here to stay. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please do go out of your way to support PWR Homecoming. Buy a ticket. I will be there. I already have my ticket bought. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like down below. Comment, share it with your friends. Share it to anyone who lives in the Philippines who enjoys Philippine wrestling and wrestling in general. Thank you all guys so much for watching, and have a good one.